Oh, thanks. You got your lockdown features on there.
Do I?
Well, I mean, with the the video and the mute button for everybody who comes in. So,
Yeah. So I have to quick make you co-host.
okay, great.
Um, so that way you and I can control our audio and video. And I've asked people if they have a question to type it in the chat. And then I could always unmute them if they wanted to talk. Does
Sure.
that work for you? Okay.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, I honestly, I hardly ever have anybody brave enough to chime in with a question.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I mean, they type it in, but instead of to speak actually.
Okay. So that'll work in our favor then. All right. So yeah, as of yesterday, I had 8 people signed up.
Okay, great.
Um, let's see. Oh, and I've got a couple screen share things. See if this will work. Let's see. Can you see that?
I
It's
can, yes.
a virtual event.
Yes, art and equality
Okay.
panels.
So that's one of the things that, you know, as people come in and you, like you did with our other program that you had with us, you asked me what was going on in the library.
Sure, I put you in a spot and make you speak.
I have this, unless you're going to show that.
Oh, well, no, I was not going to show that, but that's nice. Okay, thank you.
And
Yeah, you got it. You must have just grabbed that today, then I'm assuming.
yeah.
Okay, because I had I didn't realize this for like the past week. I had a problem with my website where it wasn't coming up, it's redirecting it.
Oh.
So yeah, so it was right. So I had a frantic phone call to my the person through my
Oh.
web, like, help me out.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
yeah, so I'm glad to know it's working.
And I don't have to be, I think I'll turn my video off.
Okay.
So that it's, you know, we could just focus on you. Did you want to, let's see, I will stop screen sharing and you won't have a problem screen sharing.
No, I shouldn't. I'll just try it to begin with.
Okay.
Perfect. All right, and then you got me up here, right?
Yeah.
All
How to
right.
write a compelling essay.
Perfect.
Okay, so that sounds good. So this behind me is this skull wallpaper that the teens picked for our teen room. Can you see it?
Okay. I noticed the design. I didn't pay attention too much, and I thought maybe you're at home. You know, everybody's got different decorating styles.
Yeah, so they chose this and then they promptly grew up and left and no one else has liked all the teens that come in here. They're like, "Ugh, why? What's with the skulls?
See,
The
they did
skulls."
it on purpose. They knew we're going to leave a little bit, and we're going to get them.
Yeah, I suppose. So yeah, so we're in the nice big teen room that we have here. So you're in Prospect Heights, is that what I read?
Yeah, I mean that's where I use a PO box. I work out of my house in Mount Prospect, and
Mount Prospect.
normal times, visit people where they're at. But I've been just zooming with everybody now. So,
Ah, sure. Yeah.
but yeah, Mount Prospect.
And you know we're in DeKalb, you know where that is, right?
Oh, absolutely, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've some family that lives out in Sycamore. Actually, friend and family out there. So yeah, so not too far.
Have you ever worked with the Sycamore Library?
I have not.
Okay, that might be someone to reach out to. Let's see, who would be in charge of that? Well, I mean, you just try the director. Or do you want the contact person over there for, is it youth services, teen services?
Sure. I mean, if you're able to find it, I never hesitate to grab contact information.
Yeah. All right, let's see here. Who is it? I like the whole, this is your, you know, when websites have pictures of their staff, I really appreciate that. Not all websites do that, but a lot of the library websites are doing staff. See? Because then you can see who you're dealing with.
Okay.
All right. Yeah. So you would be probably talking to Liesel Ulasik. And I used to work with her at Geneva Library. She is the Youth and Teen Services Manager. And let me spell her name for you. Her first name is L-I-S as in Sam, E-L.
Okay.
And her last name is U-L-A-S as in Sam, Z-E-K. And let's see, open a new tab. I just want to get your email address. Why? Copy link. Let me see if I can get her paste. Okay. So her email address is her first name, L-I-S-E-L, and then U at sycamorelibrary.org. Yeah.
Great. Well, thank you very much for that.
You're welcome. Yeah, that's kind of neat that I knew her and I thought of you. That's a contact I can make because I used to work with her. So,
Okay.
all right. So that's good. Let's see. So we got 4 minutes. When did you actually want to officially start? At 7:05, 7:02, or?
To me, whenever you want to. How's this? I had my door shut. My family's hopefully not going to come barging in, so I don't care.
Okay.
I got quiet time here now, so.
And I look over at the door. I'm like, who's going to be coming into the teen room? But I don't think there's very many people here at the library left.
Okay. Now, are you guys getting, how are the numbers of people coming in?
They're suddenly starting to slow down, which is really strange, but I think it has something to do with the drop in temperature. It always affects everything. But prior to that, we're still doing limited in-person services. So people can come in and browse books, but we've taken almost all the chairs away. And people have to social distance and wear their mask. As people come in, do you want me to just admit them, or do you want me to admit them all at once?
To me, it doesn't matter. I mean, I probably just ask questions. I'm always interested in how every library is handling something. So if you want them to join the conversation, if not, we can wait. No big deal with me.
All right, I'm gonna wait. Let's see. So if I do this, I'll admit her and then she'll be able to hear us. I'm just gonna wait a few more minutes, I
Sure.
think. But anyway, the limited services, the teen room is closed, all our meeting rooms are closed, but people can come in and get books. When they return books, it's bizarre. They have to wait. We have to quarantine all the books for 7 days.
Okay.
Because they've done tests and the virus lasts on books, on the outside of books for 7
See,
days.
I've heard libraries doing things like that, and what the Park Ridge Library told me, like they have the garbage cans, and the chutes go down into the garbage can, like into their basement, and they constantly have to keep changing them. But like I said, touching them, they don't want to quarantine them for a while, and I know at Mount Prospect they shut like the return, like they lock it after a certain time, so you're not dropping it off. And I'm like, well, there must be a reason like that for it. So. Yeah, so he said if it's full, like they're not accepting any more books. And my wife is like, well, I just want to return the books. There's a reason for everything. Okay, we just don't know. So.
Right. True.
Okay.
It is kind of nice that we are waiving all fines though.
Okay.
So that's a good thing. What else was I going to tell you? Nope, I think that was it. I think I wanted to tell you about Sycamore It's almost, what time do you have? I've got 6:56.
I get 6:59 here on my phone.
Oh, okay.
So.
All right, so maybe my phone is, I mean, my desk phone is wrong, but our phones and our laptop is fine.
Your daughter's joining us. Did your daughters join last time?
I have thank you for remembering. I do have a daughter and a son, but they're both too young. They're not, they're in high school, but not quite old enough yet to be thinking
fine.
about.
I get sometimes freshmen at these things. I'm like, it kind of is a little early for this, but I guess it's as you're writing tips, I guess, too.
True.
So, but understandable.
And that's what, got 2 people, yes. I did advertise directly to the high school here in DeKalb. I know to the assistant principal, and he sent it out to the teachers who are junior and senior. No, it wasn't the teachers. Junior and senior. Oh, shoot. Was it the counselors? Counselors, I think. Juniors and seniors. I don't know. Guidance counselors. So.
Okay.
And that was something I hadn't done with our first program. I don't know if you remember that.
I do, but we had ours in the summer as well. That first one.
That's true. So timing.
Is the high school? Is it open? Is it hybrid? How is the high school out there?
No, it's not open, but they're talking about it's all it's all at home online, and they're talking about maybe the end of October doing hybrid.
Okay.
And, I don't know. But the NIU, Northern Illinois University out here, had reported 8 new cases of COVID, and they've only been open a day or something like that, like in person.
Okay.
So we kind of follow what they.
Okay, that's right. You guys, have to probably be a little bit more careful out there because the university is just more kind of activity going on.
In the dorms. I'm going to go ahead and let these 2 people in.
Sure.
So.
Just sit straight now.
Okay, and I'm going to, there. And let's see here. Welcome. We're just going to give it a few more minutes to see how many other people might log in with us before we start. This is Susan from the Teen Librarian at DeKalb Public Library talking. And if you have any questions for Tom, please put them in the chat feature, and I'll make sure that he gets them. And I think, Tom, you said that it's okay if they ask questions at any point and I can interrupt you.
That'll be fantastic. I'd appreciate that. I definitely understand this could be new material for people, or confusing, or a lot of rumors and myths out there. So please, I'd be happy to answer those.
Okay, very good. While you're waiting here for other people to log in, I'm going to share a little something that's coming up that I'd like to promote to high school and college students, or high school students. One moment. Let's see here. That's that. Okay. Oh, we got some more people coming in. You know what? Maybe we'll hold on. Oh, can I admit them? Sorry. Hold on a second. Ooh.
You want me to admit them? I have opportunity to.
Oh, you can do that too?
Yeah, you
Yeah,
can
yeah.
co-host
Oh,
it, Buzz. There you go. Oh,
co-host.
there's another person here too. Look
You
at
do this one. All right. That's a deal.
Oh, and iPhone's entering. Oh, I feel all the power here now in the library.
Welcome everybody. Okay, got another person. I'm screen sharing this flyer, but can you also see this little participant window that popped up, or are you seeing just the flyer?
We're seeing just the flyer.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Welcome everybody. You can go ahead and ask Tom any questions you have in the chat feature, and we can pause the program and I can interrupt Tom. He gave us permission to ask any questions as they come up. My name is Susan. I'm the teen librarian at DeKalb Public Library, and one of the things we're doing is we're having a virtual event coming up called the Art and Equality Panel Discussion. You may have heard of it well, what we're doing is, oh, got a couple more people. We're having a panel discussion about how art can help people express their feelings about racial inequality and hopefully come together as a community to discuss important questions and get some answers from local artists and how they express themselves. We're going to have this program coming up on October 6th. Please register. And the people on the panel discussion include Jeff Foster, who is the owner of Common Grounds, the coffee shop here. He's very motivated to create a place where local artists, especially artists of color, can come and create art in his shop. And he's part of the panel discussions. We also have an art educator from Champaign, Illinois. His name is Stacy Robinson. He is the graphic illustrator of the graphic novel I Am Alonzo Jones. So he's an educator. He does these wonderful collage art programs, and in them he tackles the problem of racial inequality, and everything that we're going to be talking about is very positive and things that you can get involved in. So welcome again. Let's see, it's 7:07. I think we can get started anytime, and I'm going to go ahead and remind you that you can enter in the chat feature if you have any questions, and we can pause the program and ask, or I can interrupt Tom and ask. And please stay towards the end. We're going to have an evaluation for our virtual programs, not for Tom, for our virtual programs. So
well, the truth hurts sometimes. So
I'm going to go ahead and get off the screen share. And okay, I think we're ready.
okay, great. Well, thank you very much, Susan. I appreciate that, and it sounds like a interesting discussion panel that you have coming up there. So, well, thank you very much, everybody, for taking the opportunity to come here today. I greatly appreciate that. And definitely ask any questions you would like at any point of the presentation. I understand that this information could be new to a lot of people, so please feel free to to chime in with any questions at any points too. So I also just put my email in the chat feature that if anybody wants to email me I'd be happy to send a presentation. There's a lot of things I'm going through as well. I'll show you a link at the end that'll have a bunch of Google Drive documents that maybe people can use as well for themselves. It kind of goes along with everything I'm talking about as well here. So if you needed that and you can pick up the Google Drive file, no problem. Email me. So great. Well, thank you very much here for coming. So let me time for me to share my screen with everybody here. So again, how to write a compelling essay for college, just college essays, right? So the whole idea is half this world's Android, another half is Apple. But I just like the idea of Apple here, think different, and I think that's really what you want to come out with your college essay to make it compelling here. Just be a little bit different. So, all right. So here we go. I am Tom Jaworski. I'm the founder of Quest College Consulting. So I'll get my bio here really quick. I worked in high school for 12 years total. I started off as a history teacher, and then went back and earned my a master's degree in school counseling. So the last 5 years that I worked at a high school is a smaller private high school, and the last 5 years I worked as the private counselor for an honors program. So what happened was the principal opened up a position for myself, and they wanted to get maybe a little bit more attention for the honors program. We had a college counselor already, but kind of just wanted more attention just on the honors students. And so I was a personal counselor. And the idea was from day one of high school is, hey, congratulations, you're in an honors program. What are you doing for college? And so I kind of built them up, helped them build them up, the extracurricular activities, the resumes, exposing them to colleges, so on and so forth, all the way up to this time, senior year, where they're stressing out over their college essays. And so I would help them brainstorm those ideas and write them and edit them and so on and so forth. Well, I really enjoyed working in high school, but I always had that entrepreneurial spirit in me. And so I decided to take my skills, my education, and started my own business as an independent educational consultant, which is a fancy professional term for a private college counselor, where high school families hire me out to find colleges for their families. And again, work on the applications and the essays, brainstorm those essays from ground zero and bring it all the way up to brainstorming to they're very polished and ready to be submitted to colleges. So I am doing a ton of that right now too. And I think as October is going to hit, the kids are going to realize that November 1st deadlines are literally right around the corner. And so they're going to step it up probably a little bit. And maybe that's why some people are here today, or they're just here to get a little bit more on the right track with my essays and what I'm doing too. So again, feel free to ask those questions as I go through everything here. We're going to talk about things to consider when you're writing your essays. The essay tips itself there, brainstorming essay exercises if you need some ideas as well to write an essay. Where I talk about something like, maybe I should change my essay. There is time, it's no problem. You can definitely do that. And then the Common App essay prompts, that's what I'm going to focus on because that's common to over 900 different colleges. And what's common about it is about 80 to 85% is common to all the colleges, including the essay prompts. So there's 7 different prompts. You choose one of those. And so we'll kind of briefly talk about that as well. And if time's remaining too, I definitely understand I'm going to be respectful of your time, and there is a presidential debate on tonight too. So maybe people want to see it. Maybe they just want to hang out here all night with me and not watch that at all. So either way, I understand that. All right, so things to consider here. I just actually looked as I was reviewing my presentation this afternoon, and the numbers increased. So over 1,600 colleges now are test optional for this academic year. The last time I checked was 2 weeks ago on the 15th, and there were 1,550 colleges. So again, more and more colleges are going test optional this year. So pretty much consider any college you're applying to is probably fair to guess that they're going to be test optional as well. So something to consider there. So what does that mean though for the college essay? It means your essay is going to mean that much more. And the idea here is colleges, if they're on the college, the common application, which is what I'm kind of basing this on, but it could be very similar to the coalition application, another competing application that all but 12 colleges on the coalition of the 151 coalition colleges are on the Common App. And so, and only one, the University of Washington, is exclusively on the coalition app. So again, there's a lot of changes going on. There's Applied Texas, if you want to go down that way. University of California system has one. So there are other applications out there, but they're all very, very similar. So I won't confuse you with more numbers. But we'll just kind of, can focus on, they're kind of all the same at this point, but just can focus on a Common App, where they review applications holistically. And what that means, they're going to look at all the different factors. There's GPA, right? They're going to look at your grade point average. Again, take that with a grain of salt a little bit with what the spring GPA looked like for everybody. But they're going to recalculate your GPA based on their own metrics to make sure it's standard for everybody, which is why a lot of schools have considered standardized exams before. One way of leveling the playing field and making sure everything's kind of even. But again, there's been a big push for colleges to go test optional anyways. And I think my personal belief is that with COVID and especially a lot of people not being able to get exams because of COVID, and now they're starting to slowly, but it's slowly because it's kind of hodgepodge about where locations are open or not. It's almost like you're lucky if you could find the location that's open if you want an exam, that is. So again, don't stress out if you don't have an exam and you don't feel you want to get one. We could have a discussion about that one another day as well. But kind of one of the many what ifs in the college process. But if you don't have an exam, no problem. So that's why it's in pink there. Class rank, a lot of high schools do not rank anymore for classes. So again, that would be one less data point that the colleges will be able to review for you. They're going to look at your transcripts and your coursework, including this year. Now the grades are going to look at the first 6 semesters of your high school career. In rare occasions, but it is if colleges may request your 7th semester grade. So this semester, your senior year, college may request to look at or see your grades for your first semester. But they're also they're going to look at your course. What classes have you taken? The rigor of your curriculum. And again, it's going to be dependent upon what kind of college you're applying to as well. Obviously, the more competitive the college, the more highly selective they are, the more rigorous your curriculum should look like. And they're also going to look at your activity section, which means extracurricular activities. But again, activities is just not your extracurriculars. It could be everything. So pretty much how I say it is anything outside of school, outside the normal school day that you participate in. So again, it could be activities with school, clubs, sports. It could be jobs. It could be internships. It could be just a whole bunch of volunteering experiences, church experiences. So anything that you do outside of the day-to-day of the school day, you could put on your activity list. So they wanted to know more about you, and you get to put up 10. Letters of recommendations. So again, those are going to be, not every college is actually going to look for letters of recommendations. University of Illinois is a perfect example where they don't accept letters of rec, but some colleges require 1. In rare occasions, the more selective ones might be looking for 2, but a lot of times it's either 0 or 1. You can send them if you wanted to, but you don't have to. Or University of Illinois, we're not going to look at them. And then your essay. So that's why I kind of have standardized test scores, class rank, letters of recommendations. Some colleges may not be able to look at those because you didn't take an exam because your test optional. Your school doesn't rank, and then they don't look at letters of recommendation. So how are they going to look at you and evaluate you where your essay kind of needs to stand out at this point? So what are these admissions officers looking for? The officers, what are they looking for? Well, to answer the question, they're looking for who is this person? Will this person contribute something of value to our campus? And can this person write? Right? Are you going to articulate yourself? Are you going to be a well-polished writer too? So they're looking at those different factors. They're not necessarily looking for the topics. That's one thing I want to kind of state. I tell all my clients that I work with. For the most part, right? Most of the time, 95% of the time, and we'll get to a slide like this, they don't care about the topic that you pick. It's just how you back it up and how you write about your topic. That's what they care about. Okay, maybe down to 90%, because again, there's a couple other things that you probably shouldn't necessarily write about. That could be kind of cliche. We'll kind of get to those as well. But they're talking about with the essays, do not procrastinate. So if you haven't written anything yet, okay, no problem. Here, I'm going to say that you're not going to stress, but let's get moving on those two. You have 1 month and in a couple of days, and you do have to midnight of that 11:59 on November 1st of the time zone of that college to apply to, of your time zone actually to apply to, but don't cut it that short, right? We don't want technology issues to go in here. But don't procrastinate about writing the essays anymore. Devote the proper amount of time to gain admission to the school you want, right? And the way I always try to tell people, a few extra minutes for 4 years of your life, right? Hey, what's one more read of the essay? I'm always big on telling my clients, you know what? Is we done? I think so. Let me read it over one more time just to make sure. And that last essay, right? You're reading a 650-word essay. How long is that going to take you? Maybe 5 minutes? Probably not even that long. So it should be pretty quick there too. So those few extra minutes, you're fine there. And again, a good essay, to be honest, has 4 to 5 edits in there. And actually, I'm starting to change that number. I think it could be even a little higher. 4 to 5 might be kind of small. Because the first 2 edits are the big ones where you're trying to make sure everything fits and pull down the word count a little bit and rearrange everything. Then after that, there's kind of a lot of polishing, making sure everything sounds right, the word choice correctly. Did you use the same word too many times in your essay? And you realize, oh, I should use this thesaurus. But you want to make sure you're not just speaking like a thesaurus. You're actually sounding like a human being as you're writing too. So you're changing up the words to sound like a coherent person. But keep in mind, again, that the average admission person, you're going to spend all this time on the application and essays, all right, hours upon hours. But the average application is read for 6 minutes. And so the college admissions person will read it over. Perhaps 2 people will read it. Maybe in cases you get a 3rd person reading it. But again, at that point, you need to kind of wow 1 to 2 people. They're going to read about 50 a day. So again, at what point are you going to catch them? A lot of times, and especially these days, right, where people are home, working from home. So, but they usually got to work from home. Those are the days the college admission people loved it. They get to keep their sweats on, they said. But they knew they had a whole stack of essays to write. And it'd be like, 8 a.m. Okay, got my cup of coffee. Let's start reading. And then, everything's on a tablet these days, so start reading on a tablet. And the idea is, are you the first one of the day? Is that a good time for them? Is that a bad time? Are they angry because their coffee's not ready? Are they distracted because the coffee's ready, going back and forth? Is it before lunch? Is it after lunch? Is it the last one right before dinner? Again, you may catch them at times that you may, they may be a little tired or groggy or kind of, thinking of something else. So make it stand out is what I'm trying to say. So make these essays stand out. So ideas here that people like to write for essays, like the mission trip. So again, I won't go into the link in that too, but it's a great link to NPR's. Let's see, I got a question popping up here. Maybe lost it. No problem. Oh, there it is. Okay, great. Oh, great, fantastic there. So the mission trip, it talked about in a This American Life podcast with Rick Clark. He's a dean of admissions in Georgia Tech University. And he goes in and talks about for a couple of minutes about essays and talks about college admission process, but he talked about the mission trip essay. And the reason that I'm going to cross off these essay topics is because Rick Smith said, the mission trip essay is very important, right? It's very important. It transforms a lot of high schoolers' lives, right? And it's fantastic. But he said, we could kind of write the template of that essay. The essay is you're going to some kind of a Central or South American country. You fly down there with your friends, with your church. On the way to the village, from 2 hours from the airport, your bus breaks down, and then you got to go on the chicken bus that's driving by, and they pick you up, and they drive you to the camp. And then when you're at, when you're in the village for an entire week, you realize that these are just normal people, and then they're doing a great job, and you realize you evaluated your life a little bit more than they, and you changed theirs. And so you realize you come back a different person because they changed their life and you didn't necessarily change their lives like you thought you would. So yeah, that's a great essay because we hear that all the time. It's very boring. It's very cliche. It's like, okay, that doesn't really stand out. The other one that I tend to read a lot too is the ACL injury, I call it. Is when, you're an athlete and your sports are very big in your lives, which it was when I was in high school myself. But you suffer this severe injury, and then you're out for a season, and you can't play that rest of the year or the following season. And what you learned from those following seasons, then you came back, and you were bigger and better and stronger than you were before, and you just learned a lot about yourself. And so the idea here is that, it's kind of repetitive. A lot of people will write that topic. So kind of, look for something different to write about. Okay, someone popped a question in the chat that I'm having a hard time opening, but no problem. It'll come up there, or Susan will jump on if it's something important here. Essay topics to write about. Something might be different. And don't be afraid to put a title on your essay. It's a couple words, but why not? It's a little different. So maybe you want to write about why you're a karaoke queen, an afternoon working at Chipotle, your grandmother's hands, how you make the best grilled cheese sandwich. And I'd be very interested to write, why are you writing an essay about that? It makes me want to read it, right? And then maybe my obsession with Spider-Man comic books, right? Maybe people don't necessarily realize that about you, but you have that big obsession. So you want to talk about those. Again, of the 10% of things not to write about, here's the 5%. The other 5% was on the last slide, kind of the cliche topics. The other 5% might be a lot of things that I'm not even going to mention on here too, but the idea is I didn't want to hear a list of excuses for you of what happened in high school. There's actually a portion to put that on. It's called the additional information essay, that if you want to explain anything, you can talk about it there. They also don't want to hear a list of accomplishments. I get this one from time to time where high schools want to, again, kind of state exactly what they've done in high school, and they're very proud of what they've done. And that's great. But that's what you put in the activity section, and you have 150 characters to talk about those. So you have an opportunity to talk about that. So again, you're trying to kind of name drop the things you've done, whereas they already see that. So there's no reason to, to constantly remind about something that they already know about. Again, community service, again, talk about that. It's very important in your life, but kind of like that mission trip essay. And then maybe cliches or even lofty topics. I think lofty topics is the great one for me this year, because a lot of people are feeling like, should I talk about what's going on and maybe Black Lives Matter or stuff like that, topics like that. And my first question is, well, you definitely can, but is it something that's very important and touching in your life, or are you just kind of like writing about it because you feel you should talk about it? And it's more like, I feel like I should talk about it. Okay, no problem. Then you probably shouldn't, because you probably don't have that passion to come out. And then go back and talk about just Spider-Man comic books, because you could probably write 5,000 words on that. So again, try to do something that you'll have an easier time writing about. And maybe some topics here that you can kind of use here if you need some brainstorming ideas to get, and this is what I use with the students that I work and say, do you have an idea for a topic? And if they say no, all right, come up with some ideas. And so again, things to consider. Again, this is one of the sheets that I have in the Google Drive that if you guys need it, so you don't have to necessarily write very fast, because I speak fast and going through this maybe fast. But again, some ideas, and again, maybe for people too, as they're going through this, the high schooler, to talk out loud to themselves. What do I need to do? What can I do? Things could say people like, if you really knew me, right? So the idea that your best friends. What do your best friends know about you that most people don't know about you? Are you the silly, goofy person, but you put on a very serious persona when you're in school, and your teachers would never know that about you, and your letter of recommendation is going to talk about that. But you're just a silly goof when you hang out with your friends. You're the person that gets them rolling around on the ground and laughing all the time. And so maybe talk about something like that, what your friends know about you, or what you really love. This is kind of the and that's, I think that goes in the next one. I love. So what do you love? What do you talk about? And I think the next thing to say too is, this is not the time to be humble. Unfortunately, it's probably hard for a lot of people to talk about themselves, right? To go dig deep inside who you really are. And that's what college is looking for, who that person is, like going really deep. So what do you really love? What are you passionate about? So talk about those topics. If it's Black Lives Matter or some kind of movements going on now, climate change, talk about that. If it's very passionate for you, talk about it. Don't think it's cliche or a lofty topic because I said so. If you can write something fantastic and passionate about it, go for it. So again, dig deep to really talk about it. It's not time to be humble. It's time to, because again, as I tell people, if you're going to be humble, college is going to say, can you step aside, please? That person who wasn't humble is going to come right past you and take your seat for admission in these colleges. So again, no need to brag, but just kind of talk about things which you love and dig deep about it. What are you grateful for? What are you celebrating? Are these kind of things, like, what are you really happy about? So talk about things like that, maybe. I have actually a hard time with that one coming up with answers sometimes. But some other people might not have a hard time. They know exactly. And it doesn't have to be a birthday, of course, or things like that. Just talk about things you're very happy about. And those might come up for different examples for you. Another idea could be called objects in a box. So again, you don't literally have to put a object in a box, but draw a box in your piece of paper and write objects in there. Is it, so here's what I tell people, like, imagine a box. In this box is a set of objects. Each object is something that, is essence to who you are and is important to you. Each one represents your fundamental qualities. Let's see, do I have mine here? Okay. And again, it's fundamental qualities about who you are. It could be a figurative thing, right? Something you can't touch. Is it a word, an idea, a concept? Like passion, right? You can't necessarily touch passion. It's just there. So put word or objects or phrases in a box too. So again, it doesn't have to be an actual physical object. It could be words, phrases. And then start writing about those to be a little bit descriptive about them. Just don't put a hat. And the perfect example is here. I'm going to put on my hat there too, my D hat here. And what this hat actually is, it's my Dosan Bears KBO baseball hat. So I'm going to put it on the back. You can see the KBO logo. And actually, people might have actually heard about them for once, because the KBO is a Korean baseball organization. And one thing, and the reason I would want to talk about this, put this in there, it's more than a hat to me. But so my wife and I are proud parents of 3 Korean adoptees. And so Korea is very near and dear to my heart. I've been there 6 times to adopt my children, and it's a wonderful country. The Korean community, I love them to death, and I'm really excited and always learning new ideas and new content about the Korean community, which is Korean Thanksgiving is actually on Thursday, Chulsik, so we'll be celebrating around my house as well. So again, things like that is very near and dear to my heart. We make sure we do celebrations like that. Well, as I mentioned earlier, I was huge into sports when I was in high school, and I still love sports these days, and baseball is my most favorite sport. And so I started following, as we were in the process of adopting my oldest son, Korean baseball. And so I knew about the league and everything. So when I went there the first time, I made sure to buy a Korean baseball hat, right? Because it's more fun to buy it there than on the internet, right? It just doesn't mean as much on the internet. So I was there, I bought a hat. I've been lucky enough to go to a game. Another 10 teams in the league that you may be seeing on ESPN early in the morning if you wake up, like I've been doing. I just picked them as my favorite team, just kind of randomly. And so now that's just a team I follow. My children, before remote learning school has started, we'd be watching the games in the morning. So I get a whole long essay that I can talk about that just from a baseball hat there too. So that's what I kind of mean. So if you just put a hat, okay, I'd like to think a baseball hat. Okay, baseball hat. Okay, talk about that. Just keep expanding on that too. Oh, Korean, what kind of hat? Oh, one of my favorite hats is a Korean baseball hat. Well, I can talk about the Korean baseball league. I can talk about my children, right? So it kind of snowballs there into ideas. I could keep going to Mizuno vintage professional model first baseman's glove, right? Looking at a very descriptive term there. Talk about that as well. That's the glove that I use when I play with my children. Especially this summer, we've played a lot of baseball in the backyard. We've been keeping stats, and so I could share that Google Doc with you guys too if you wanted. We've been keeping stats of our baseball games in the backyard. So we really get into that too. And that's the glove that I use. So again, how special this COVID time has been, where I've been able to spend a lot of time with my children, And so, I could just talk about that for an essay as well. Just more than a baseball glove. I'm not talking about baseball, but there's more behind it. So that's the idea about the objects in the box. What else is behind it? Again, I got a list of questions that are on the Google Docs as well if people want it. But, other things that could help your mind with the objects if you can't just think of anything off the top of your head. What's a food that reminds you of your family? Like I mentioned, it could be some Korean food, japchae, stuff like that. Rice cake soup, ideas like that for the Korean family. For myself, is there something really nerdy or geeky that you love? It's kind of like, what do you love? And that Spider-Man comic books, talk about it. Go. Colleges want to hear fun, goofy things like that. Make them smile, right? They're reading 50 a day. Make it interesting for them for 6 minutes. 3 objects in your room, a dream or goal, a favorite photo, right? A picture's worth 1,000 words. All you need is 650. So keep that in mind. You just need 2/3 of that picture to talk about. So again, have that object. And I think I have some examples of essays as well too. So, I'll keep going too. So if you wanted this PowerPoint, you might be able to click onto that example. I have that link to my Google Drive. If not, those examples should be on there as well too. If people, because again, I understand if people have never written an essay before, that okay, great, this sounds great, but what does it look like? Hey, I understand that too. I love to build things too and create things and follow direction. But if I don't know what it kind of looks like in the end, right, that the directions won't make sense. You want to see that picture first. So again, talk about these things, the objects, the things that are values important to you. And then, so it could be values as well too. So there's examples for essays that I have as well that you can read. All right, so the Common App for this year, as I mentioned before, I'd probably mention these 7 essay prompts. You only answer 1 though, so don't be scared. And there's 7 different prompts, and you can answer them in up to 650 words. It is actually a strict limit of the 650 words. You cannot write 651. It won't take it, or cut off the last word or words for you. Versus other applications like the Coalition app, which is a recommended. So a lot of standard is kind of the Common App too. So a lot of these additional essays that you need to write for other applications, they kind of understand you cut and paste in your Common App one and put them in there. So that's why I kind of use the Common App as my standard one too. Let's see here. Okay, I'm going to go back actually, and I'll talk about these in really quick for people. I have this slide should be open by now. All right. All right. Where do I have? There you go. All right. So changing my screen. Yep, I got it on the correct one. Perfect. So here are the prompts. They're actually the same ones as last year. So if you had anybody or knew anybody who went through the process, there they are. The Common App. So if you don't have a current senior in here, the Common App always says that by March 31st they will release the new Common App prompts. But they've been doing it the last couple of years towards the end of January. And I think part of the reason is, right, there's competing applications growing in popularity. So again, they're trying to save their business, right? And so they kind of get them out there early and get people to kind of writing about these. But one thing I can say about these 7 prompts really quick before we go into them, well, I guess also the history of it, these prompts really haven't changed. Last year was the same prompts as this year. The previous years, the only thing that changed was just specific wording on there too, to make it sound, sound better, or to try to elicit a little bit different responses, or maybe something they're looking for. And so that's the only thing that's changed in the last, say, 4 or 5 years. So it might be interesting. They're due for a change. Usually they go on a little bit of a cycle for about 4 or 5 years. So they might be due for a change soon. But again, if you're a junior, start watching around January, towards the end of January. Common App has a Twitter, so you can kind of check on that. It's a great way to get information too. But again, if you're a senior, maybe one of the things too to think about is that's why I give those brainstorming activities. I want to talk about those first, because sometimes if you look at the right, and first of all, I think sometimes it's hard to write. You can write about anything you want, just brainstorm. It's anything out there, and that's just hard, right? Because it's such a big area. You can get lost, you get confused. I don't know, I need a specific prompt to write about. You can look at the prompts, and it could help you answer some of the questions you're looking for, and answer for them. But sometimes it leads to confusion too, because people are trying to look at so much. Like, well, what can I put here? Will my essay fit here? to be honest, these prompts are so general that whatever you write about could probably fit into 2 or 3 of these different prompts. And so like, you'll tell me, oh, that's my Common App prompt. Oh, great. Does that answer question number 2? No, it answered 4. Oh, well, very similar. It doesn't matter. So the prompts are, if you went to commonapp.org, by the way, so that's what I've been kind of talking about. So you can go on there, you can find the essay prompts as well, but I'll have a sheet for people as well. So actually, I'm going to switch back to my presentation, maybe go over something briefly here. You know, I know we got about 20 minutes left too, and I'm always happy to stay on too for questions. So I'll kind of go over these a little bit. Each question, give you some ideas to write about. But again, it's not the biggest thing if you don't take into these topics and you just write about anything you want and you try to fit it in somewhere. Because I'll be able to explain to you at the end why, especially why you can do that too. So, but again, sometimes people just need something more specific to write about. So I'm actually going to start with essay prompt number 2, actually. So sorry that I actually forgot the number up top there. But the question is, the lessons we take from obstacles we encounter can be fundamental to later success. Recount a time when you faced a challenge, setback, or failure. How did it affect you? And what did you learn? So again, as I kind of say, make it a real problem. Unfortunately, a low test grade, right? Or you don't win a big game. It could be something that actually is a real problem to you, right? But kind of make it something, or if you're going to write something like that, make it something interesting. Like here's a perfect example. So when I taught in high school, the athletic director and assistant basketball coach played college basketball at DePaul, and later on had some tryouts with the NBA, but he wasn't able to make it in the NBA, but he played in Europe a lot. And he was playing one summer in Jerusalem. And he said he had a favorite cafe to go to, loved it, would hang out there every night after the game, to go and sit outside, so on and so forth. But one day, last second, he had the ball in the corner. Where was that? He was down in the corner, they got him the ball, he shot it, his spot, he said, the spot that he never misses, and he missed. Buzzer rang, they lost, he was very disappointed. So instead of going out to eat that night, he decided to go home. He's just kind of having a big pity party, he said. He's at home for half an hour. He said, I'm playing basketball, professional basketball. I'm in Jerusalem. Come on, this is great. Like, go enjoy yourself. So he got in his car, started driving to the cafe, but he couldn't get there. And then the reason he's like, he can't get there, he started driving around and then he finally asked him, he's like, hey, what's going on up there? Why are all the roads blocked? What does the police have activity going on? What happened? He said, oh, there's a suicide bomber at such and such place. And that was the location right next to where the cafe would have been, where he was at. So who knows how it was, and it really just changed his life, right, at that point. And so I always told him that if you wrote an autobiography, that it should be called The Best Shot I Never Made. And so you can kind of talk about that. So that could be a great story about not winning the big game. But if you don't have anything that interesting, and I really hope you don't worry about those. So kind of write about something different here. So
Tom?
Yes, I'm sorry, Susan.
Yep, that's fine. No, we just got a question.
Oh, great.
Okay. Does our essay have to be written in the form of a really formal essay? Say, for instance, I was using one of the prompt examples that was on the previous slide, a typical shift at Chipotle.
Sure.
Would I be able to write that in the form of a story, or does it have to be formal?
Sure. To be honest, it should be probably more of a story at that point. Colleges are not, as I best describe it, with kudos to English teachers, of course, you're not writing for your English paper, you're not writing for your history teacher, you're writing about yourself and kind of like writing more of it in a story sense than two. Use first person, use your inner monologue that's going on. Yeah, be yourself in these essays, and don't worry about, it has to have like 4 sentences to a paragraph. If you want to write one word for a paragraph or one word for a line and space and go on again, go right ahead. Whatever to bring that creativity out. So that's a great question, Susan. I'm glad whoever asked that. It doesn't have to be very formal. Just has to obviously read well, right? You got to look polished, and we're using good vocabulary. We're expressing ourselves well. That's what they're looking for too. They're not really looking for a formal stuff. You want to say, loosen the collar a little bit. Tell them a little bit more about your shift at Chipotle. see what you're seeing there too. What has taught you, what you've learned about, about working at Chipotle. Maybe it's a farm to table movement, and that's very big at Chipotle. Maybe that's something that you learn more about fresh food, and that could be why you're talking about that. Talk about those things, why it's important to you. So great question. Thank you very much, Susan, for chiming in there. Okay, so again, I'll keep going through these. I'll kind of go through them fast though, because we only have limited time. But I actually have a document in my Google Drive that will have all these ideas up here as well too. And pretty much everything I have in my slide, I just cut and pasted the document into the PowerPoint, so you won't be missing out anything if you went to the document as well. By the way. So again, things that you've changed, maybe a failure to apply yourself, failure to act, right? Things you've done like that, a lapse of judgment. Talk about those different things. Right, and that goes back really quick to that one. We face a challenge, setback, or failure. This is a question where you can kind of get that ACL injury, right? Where you get injured and you need to come back, and you come back bigger, better, and stronger. And then you win the big game. So this is a topic, especially for this one, kind of try to avoid writing about this and that topic there. Reflect about a time you've challenged, you questioned or challenged your belief, what prompted your thinking, what was your outcome. Again, there's 2 questions in there, remember, with 3 parts, right? So not unless you're looking about one you question or what you question. They're really worried about this essay is what prompted that thinking. Was that inner monologue going back, like saying, like, this doesn't seem right. What's going on here? And of course, what was your outcome? What happened? How have you moved forward? How did you make it a happy ending? Hopefully not a sad, but it could be a sad ending always, right? You could write about that as well. It doesn't have to be a happy ending, but if you could put a happy twist on it, right? Everybody always likes that too, what you learn about moving forward. So again, things like that, it could be something really big, political beliefs these days. Now, so be careful with that topic as well these days. It's very, very, I guess, just, intense these days, the best way to say it. A scientific idea, a personal conviction or belief, some of that entrenched way of doing things, challenging the status quo. So what have you challenged at home, at school, in your state, right? It could be bigger, better, whatever it is you're challenging, but try not to be too lofty about what you've been challenging. Make sure something you're actually doing, right? If you're a part of some of these movements going on these days, Me Too, Black Lives Matter, by all means, go for it. Write about those ideas. So. If show them what you're passionate about. If you're not passionate about anything or you're not sure about it, don't worry about it. We'll move on to question 4. To describe a problem you've solved or a problem you like to solve. So that's an important part there. Give me an intellectual challenge, research query, ethical dilemma, anything that is of personal importance, no matter the scale. Explain its significance to you and what steps you took or could be taken to identify a solution. So again, think about here all the different topics that you have talking about here. So there's a whole bunch that you talk about here. And again, it could be something you hope to solve. So again, maybe something why you want to go to college, be a doctor, for instance. You could talk about that, why you want to be an economist for some reason. And then you could talk about that reason there too. So it kind of lends itself to that type of question. There's a whole bunch of things to write about here, a community issue, a design challenge, right? Especially if you're an engineer. How can you build a better mousetrap? What's your Shark Tank idea? Stuff like that. Health problems, problem in your high school, global problems, right? We got problems all over the place. So, sorry about that one, too fast on that one for some reason. But yeah, so again, there's a whole bunch you could write about there too, perhaps. If again you haven't found your topic yet, discuss an accomplishment, event, or realization that sparked a period of personal growth and a new understanding of yourself or others. Let's be careful in this one with the idea of the cliche answers. This could be your mission trip essay. It comes in this one. Again, if you got a great mission trip essay, a story, you could talk about that. You could write about it and different things that change. Hey, by all means, go with it. But if it's going to read the same form that I had, perhaps choose a different topic then too. There's 7 prompts. So. Avoiding cliche topics, again, a period of growth, right? For teenagers, right, it makes sense. When you're 16, you get a driver's license, you have more freedom, things you can do. Bar mitzvah, bat mitzvah, ideas like that too, that can lend itself to kind of like coming of age. I know that's the importance of the ceremonies. Quinceañera, same thing, kind of the importance of coming of age as well. So those are kind of already built in for you and kind of is an easy answer for you. It may not make for something unique is what I'm trying to say. So unless you can make it unique, right? Because again, it's your essay. You got to believe in it, and whatever you submit, it's got to be what you believe in. So go for it. If you think it is, then go for those topics. Again, accomplishment, could be a whole bunch of different things. Successfully launching your business or a babysitting business, a tutoring business, a remote learning tutoring business these days, stuff like that. If you have some kind of challenge for yourself. I had a student last year who wrote about this one where kind of every year he'd go on a family vacation to Wisconsin, right, to the family land up there that's been in the family for generations. And for 2 or 3 weeks, he really set a kind of a goal ever since he was little. Like, this year, I'm going to learn to swim in the lake. I'm going to swim across the lake this time too, or the pond, or I think it's the pond actually, right, when you're a little kid. But ideas like that, you want to challenge yourself. So maybe you can talk about that coming of age. Events or milestones here too. A traumatic event or such an accident, or sudden loss makes you reevaluate your behavior, something like that. Okay, that's that one. So again, there's a whole bunch you could write about there too. There's a whole bunch of different topics that kind of help you there. Sorry about that one to tease you out here. Here's my geek out question that I talk about. Spider-Man comic books could be appropriate here. But describe a topic, idea, or concept you find so engaging that it makes you lose all track of time. What does it captivate? Why does it captivate you? What or who do you turn to when you want to learn more? So again, is it YouTube? Is it, books, right? You go to the library, you turn to Susan here at the Teen Center. Says, Susan, pick me up some good books on this topic. I want to learn more. Things like that. And so what do you lose track of time in? I actually have a girl who's talking about fashion this year and what it kind of means to her. Well, she just got an idea actually of being lost in fantasy during fashion and not have to worry about different things. And she can kind of like clear her mind of other things, but just kind of going through things and researching and so on and so forth. So there's an idea too. Actually, I had, and just so I'm not stereotyping, I had a gentleman 2 years ago write about a topic like that as well, but fashion is very big. He always wanted to be on the cutting edge and kind of actually how he bought and sold different outfits all the time too, and always made a profit too. So again, you can talk about something like that as well too. So there's a bunch of that essay. So again, it could be things that enthrall you, things you find so stimulating. Something that could dig deeper and find out that really that inner you, the things that your best friends know about. Again, so be careful of the idea of the, they could be academic connotations. Careful about that. Or I lose track of time when I'm playing baseball or I'm running track. Everything's different. Okay, maybe they kind of know that about you, that you're an athlete ready. It's in your activity. So maybe there's something else that you can talk about too. If it's just going, like I have a current client that's talking about maybe just going hiking, and he just likes to leave the stress of the world behind him and going different places to hike, driving an hour away just to lose track of time for a while, and just not even put on podcasts or music, so he has his phone for safety, but doesn't look at it. He just wants to walk and go and look and discover. And so that could be something you talk about too, and why that's important to you then. So I'm going to jump back to question number 1. So I see question 1 and 7, and the reason I put them at the end because they tend to be the ones people answer the most, to be honest with you. So this one is the second most answered question, where some students have a background, identity, interest, and talent that is so meaningful they believe their application will sound incomplete without it. If this sounds like you, please share your story. So again, it's very general, like a lot of these questions are, right? It's so general that you can fit in a couple different places, but talking about you, your identity. So maybe I could write about this one with my Korean baseball hat too. But I could write about Korean baseball or baseball in general, and you might geek out one. And my fan about Korean baseball, for instance. So there's a whole bunch of things that you could fit in different ways, but just make sure you follow the tips that I kind of had when you're writing too, and so you don't veer off too much into. But if it just tells you more about who you are, right? And this is saying like, this is the but question. Where can I say this? right here. You can tell them about you here too. So again, if you're going to answer this one, you really got to dig deep and tell them more about who you are. So that's what they're looking for. So again, it can be a story, a difficult domestic situation. You've lived in unusual places. I had a family that I helped out that the kids lived in 9 different places in 3 different foreign countries in their 17 years of lives. So, they travel around for their dad's work, and, they're going to school in Hong Kong, and just talk about those different experiences too. That then what it doesn't say on an application, where have you lived? They don't necessarily know that about you. So tell them, right? They want to know, they want interesting, unique people on their campus, as I kind of mentioned before. So tell a story like that to make you stand out. What makes you unique here too? And this could be the question to answer that one too. Question 7 is the most popular answer, with nearly 50% of all people writing a Common App prompt will answer question number 7. So again, 1 of 7 questions has 50%. All the other ones have 50% combined. So, but this one I think people feel most comfortable with, because it's a share an essay or any topic of your choice. So usually it's a topic of your choice is what they're looking at too. They don't necessarily share the essay, it's topic of your choice. And give me one you've already written, one that responds to a different prompt, or one of your own design. So again, this is one of my things. You just want to write and I'm not sure what it's going to be. I'm really afraid they're going to critique my answer. And it's not going to be like an AP teacher. They're not going to say, did they answer the prompt? Is there a thesis statement there? There are 2 points for that. They're not going to answer it that way. They're not going to look at it. So really the topic is, again, and with question and answer is not that important. So don't worry about the questions so much. But again, if you're not sure, put in question number 7. I think that's why it's the most popular one, because it tends to be, people feel more comfortable here. But remember, I always recommend you could find another topic to write about, meaning you can fit in one of the other 6 prompts. I always feel that too, but I know I get overruled because it's their application, because of that comfort level too. They just want to make sure, right? A lot easier. They're the ones applying to school. It's their lives, and I'm just giving my advice there too. So I understand that angst there. But again, you should be able to fit it in somewhere else. But again, it's just kind of not a license to write a comedy routine, or I'm just going to write a poem about something too. It's a beautiful poem, or draw a picture. That's not what they're looking for. They're actually looking for writing, again, as Susan asked, not necessarily formal writing. It doesn't have to be like that, but it's going to be a story, your book, your narrative of your life. Again, carefully, you can talk about a lot of things that's in your additional information option. So again, if you talk about, if you had some medical issues, like I've had some, students hospitalized for like anxiety disorders, eating disorders, you can talk about that somewhere else in additional information, because you missed a lot of school for that. So you want to explain that, right? You missed a lot of school, but it's kind of not your fault. So you want to talk about this so colleges don't think you missed 25 days of school because you just don't want to go to school. It's a very good reason. And you kind of write about that in additional information if you can. But again, I understand if it's important enough to you, you want to write more about that here, you can do that, but try to put that in additional information if you can. Again, so essays written here has a substance, tell the reader something about you. And to be clever is great. To be witty can be funny, but again, make sure it just doesn't take away from your topic there too. Again, essays you've already written. I've actually never had anybody do this one. So and so far this year, I haven't had anybody talk about that too. I think it's kind of hard. I think college would rather you have your own unique writing currently. But I think they're trying to say here too, if you want to cut and paste an old essay you have, go right ahead. But make sure it's just not the boring history essay paper that your mean teacher used to make you write, or an English paper. Something that's kind of, it's a great paper, got me an A, but is it a college, again, is it formal, is it informal? What kind of essay is it really college worthy? So the question I get people ask me, which one should I pick? And that's why I say all of them. They're all so general. You can really write about whatever you want and then decide where it fits, or just kind of reverse engineer to kind of figure out where it fits. Kind of write the essay and look backwards and say, oh, I think it'll fit here. 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. I think you'll be fine though, whichever one you decide to put it in. Okay, finishing up, a couple other smaller essays I can talk about too, since we're talking about the Common App, and this might come up. there is a question, an optional question that you can write about COVID-19, up to 250 words, and it truly is optional. Colleges are not like just going to say, "Oh, you didn't answer the COVID-19 question. We're not going to let you in." But the question, the thing is, has COVID-19 impacted your life? Like, how has it? And obviously, right, it's impacted all our lives, but it can impact people a lot more severely or a lot more positively than other people. I hope it's positive too, right? Especially in this interesting year. But you can kind of talk about the ideas here that here, just this is where we want to talk about COVID in it too. So I think the Common App put it in there this year, so you don't write about it. In college admissions, do not read about every single essay will be about COVID and what it means, what's going on. So if you have an idea to write about something here, write it. If it's affected you, go ahead and write about it too. But don't just say, yeah, my school closed, I had to go to remote learning, my grades couldn't change. It's fact. It's a whole country that didn't happen. So again, what's unique to you about it? So if you're going to write about it, they're going to read it. So what's unique to you about this? Another question that could come up in supplemental essays. So some colleges will ask you additional information about yourself. That's what the uncommon portion of the Common App is, and that 15 to 20%. And that could be in the form of an essay question. And one of the most typical supplemental essay questions that Northwestern's one of them that writes about this is, why Northwestern? That's the name of the essay, why Northwestern? And so here, I call it why College X. So why do you want to go to our university? Why are you a good match for our university? What is it that you like the best about our university? How do you contribute to our university? So again, just say, why do you want to attend our school? And so I have this again in the doc if you want. So I got a whole bunch here too. Talk about, sorry, I was going one by one. It's annoying me too, so sorry about that. Kind of things to write about, how you can benefit that college, what made you interested in attending that school. So they want you to be very, very specific on this one. Don't make it very general where you can say, and this is why I want to attend, and I put my hand over the Northwestern. It was Notre Dame, sorry. Nope, it's University of Chicago, right? You don't want to use the same essay for all three. You can kind of do a little bit of a template saying, and I really want to walk campus, and I'm really excited about, and I talk about the architecture, it's very important to me, this building, the science program is very important to me, and why you want to study science and why it's important, and you add in what's specific to Northwestern, what's specific to University of Chicago in that line too. So you kind of have a template, but it doesn't mean just cut and paste it too, right? They want you to be more specific because, again, going back to Rick Clark and This American Life, he talked about the idea of like, and this is why Georgia Tech is fantastic, and I want to go there. And this is why I want to attend Duke University. Oops, you cut and paste and you forgot to change the names, right? We've all done that somewhere along the way, send a wrong email to somebody, applied to the job and forgot to change the name. Stuff like that happens. But again, try not to make that happen to you. Proofread as much as you can there. But anyway, same thing, go College X, go in depth. So show somebody like, why you add diversity. Is there a specific professor that you want to research under? That sounds fantastic. Personal characteristics that would enhance the campus that you're a great fit for. So go in depth. Oh, there we go. Since I have the last slide, I didn't realize there's the last slide. So I'll go a couple more objects in the bottom here, ideas here. So go in depth, not just list and tell them. I want to go to school because of great faculty, the outstanding reputation, and the fact that I'm going to get a great education and ranks very high. They don't know all that already. So tell them more about that, and don't put something like, it's a great school, there is a great school, outstanding reputation, and say, because when I was researching U.S. News and World Report, they were ranked very high for engineering. I decided to look into it more, and I learned that the engineering program is such and such, and you talk more about the engineering program, the math program, the economics, whatever it is. But be clear and be concise. So again, when people wanted to, I'm happy to share the documents with them too. That we talk about a lot of things, like again, why College X, instead of you copying this down. But again, same thing that I'm going to actually have in the docs. I'm going to actually have in my in the presentation. So if you want a copy of the presentation, feel free to email me. I'd be happy to send you a copy of that. It's kind of the same thing, 6 of one, half dozen of the other. or just other thing I needed from you, or you want a copy, you just want to text me. That's a lot easier. Send me your email address. I'll be happy to send it to you, and just tell me you're at DeKalb so I know which one you viewed and which topic I was talking about today. So great. So thank you very much, though, for everybody for your for coming here tonight. I greatly appreciate it. I'll get you done maybe a little bit before 8, so you can go watch the debates now. Thank you very much. But I'll stay here as long as you need it, or as long as Susan needs me here or kicks me out. So I'll put the screen down. And perfect. So I think perfect. So I think that might have been Susan putting that down for me.
Yeah,
maybe I'm not sure. Okay.
I just put up the evaluation form.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah, if you guys could click on that, and it opens up a Google Doc with a couple of questions. We're just trying to get our virtual programming, the best that it could be. And also we want to know how you heard about our program. So that would be super helpful if you could do that. It'll probably just take a minute. Also I wanted to thank everyone for coming. This program will be featured for 2 weeks. That's what we decided, right, Tom? 2 weeks?
Sounds great to me.
On the DeKalb Public Library's YouTube channel. I'll probably get it posted early tomorrow morning. So if there's something that you wanted to go back and listen to him explaining, then that'll be available for a little while. And if there's no other questions, I think
of course, feel free to share that with other people, right? So we can go viral.
Oh, yes. That's right. We want to go viral. Take care, everyone, and thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Bye, Tom.
Bye-bye. Thanks so much.